Everyone, welcome back to the channel. I've noticed that on my site I've got quite a high content of generals and staff officers insignia compared to a lot of other sites, so I thought it'd be interesting to do a very quick video on the origins and the designs of them and what items I've got in stock, so I can quickly run through some of the items I've got. So here at the bottom we've got a selection of general's gorgets. The general's gorgets are differentiated from the staff officers, obviously by this very elaborate design here and extremely nice embroidery. And also with the generals we have these nice buttons with the sabre and the baton insignia, whereas the staff officers just have a general button on there. Now both the staff officers and the generals insignia in this crimson red for the standard army general is on a very high quality Melton cloth, pre-1960s, which has got a nap to it, so on this one when you run your finger on alongside it, it's nice and smooth one way, and then obviously on the other you feel the resistance. So it's a lovely high quality cloth. So this particular design here is a detachable pair. This is probably for practicality reasons or maybe for a tropical uniform. I've got another pair here which have got the press studs on, another pair which have lost their finish at the back, and this pair's like a slip-on version as well. Now when we look at the staff officers ones, it's very common to find this red silk or artificial silk lining at the back. So now that we've talked about the gorgets, obviously a general officer will need a cap, and this is what he'll be wearing on his cap, which is the general officer's cap badge. Now if we look, there's a slight difference on these two. On this one, which is pre-1953, you notice that the crown is more of a crescent shape, it's more rounded along here. That is the King's crown, known as the King's crown, and on this one, which is a later product, it's got this more heart shape, or like the crown is slightly different. This is for Queen Elizabeth, so we can date this one to 1953. So these are for the general officers, and then we need to talk about the staff officers, the brigadiers and the colonels. They had quite a big badge, but there's no baton obviously or sabre, and this is what they've got. They've got the lion on the crown, and obviously because of the shape of these ones they're all post 1953, but this one we have here, which is slightly smaller, it has a nice what's known as padded crown. So this is obviously World War II, or at a maximum up to 1953. So over here we've got some different coloured general officers gorgets, and this is the very standard crimson red standard army one, and then we've got some different colours. So there was an admin department and a dental department as well, and this one here, which is very rare, is for the chaplains department in this colour. So this is for a staff officer, as I said before, and this is for a general. And over here we've got some more staff officers ones, and these are particularly nice, this pair, because they're for a Red Cross officer who's a staff officer in the Red Cross. So they are quite unique, quite rare, and you know, looking at the construction and the quality, I would date these to World War I. Over here we've got some later staff officers, but they are quite a rare pair because they're for an army chaplain, and they're very hard to find and very interesting. So staying on the theme of generals, insignia and staff officers, I've got something quite rare and unusual here. is we notice this is the standard pattern for a general officer here, but we notice these initials for GR here, and these are not found on every pair of generals' shoulder boards. This is to indicate that the wearer is actually in fact an aide-de-camp, which is basically someone who's involved in royal duties, escort duties, that sort of thing, and it's just to denote that difference, that it's not kind of military usage. Whilst they're wearing those, they are an escort, a planner, or involved with helping out in royal duties. So they're quite interesting. And the only other item of interest is this post 1953 Field Marshals badge, which will be which would be attached to a shoulder board. Obviously, this being the highest rank in the British Army, I don't have a lot of these items in stock. This is in fact the only one that I've got, so it's quite a rare piece. And items like this very, very rarely come up for sale. So it's an opportunity to get a good look at a battle dress style badge here, rather than the dress one, which would have been in a more bullion cloth. Some of you may be interested in the origins of these rather attractive items, these general's gorgets, and basically from the 1400s, when we think about armies on the battlefield in a suit of armour, there was an item worn around the neck. The French word would be gorge, meaning throat protection, and this would be worn obviously by higher ranking people on the battlefield, and extremely high ranking people would have had a more elaborate design, maybe some chased in leaves or even flowers on their armour. As we got into the 1800s, there became less use for armour on the battlefield, and really armies needed to find a way of identifying their senior members, their generals and staff officers. And really this is just kind of a throwback from that era and a way of representing that in cloth form. And then over the years it has kind of evolved into a slightly smaller design on a red cloth. This idea has been copied by all the other Commonwealth nations, and this kind of design is implemented in many armies across the world now. So I hope you enjoyed that small video on General's Insignia and Staff Officers Insignia, and I hope it covered some basic illustrations of the design and the origins of it. All the items that have been shown in the video are actually for sale. If there's any other videos that you'd like me to make on my stock or anything else, please feel free to email me, and look out for some more videos. Thank you for watching.